American-Born Chinese by Jean Luniang explores the themes of identity, assimilation, societal pressures, and self-acceptance. One of the narratives portrayed is the story of Jin Wang, a young Chinese-American boy struggling with self-image and cultural identity. Throughout American-Born Chinese, Yang uses visual symbolism, metamorphosis, and subtext to demonstrate Jin Mang's transformation from an insecure boy who assimilates to avoid alienation to a confident teenager who accepts his cultural identity. Jin's physical and psychological changes display the author's theme that suppressing one's authentic self creates cognitive dissonance and isolation, while embracing it leads to belonging. At the start of the novel, Jin is innocent and emotionally stable in his own identity. On page 28, panel 2, he is surrounded by a bright yellow color scheme as he plays with the transformer toy, while the onomatopoeias click, click, clack spread across the frame as he happily tinkers with the toy. Jin's focused content expression illustrates his self-assurance and freedom. The author uses this to suggest that at this point, Jin feels safe and whole within his identity, and he does not yet view his Chinese background as something that separates him from others. This connects back to an author's message. When one accepts their identity without defiance or external judgment, it results in feelings of confidence. Jin's confidence, however, takes a negative turn in his first encounter with discrimination on page 30, where the teacher of his class introduces him as Jing Jiang. Her cheerful smile masks the microaggression as she uses politeness to hide her prejudice. Moreover, she assumes that he has just moved from China, despite him being from San Francisco. Jin's face displays clear frustration and discomfort with his eyes lowered as he quietly corrects her. This moment is important since it links his identity to feelings of embarrassment and alienation, creating inferiority to his American classmates. The earlier warmth is replaced by tension, marking the start of internal conflict as Jin views his heritage as an obstacle to being welcomed. Jin's first sign of change is on pages 32 to 34, where after being judged by his classmates who cruelly stay away from my dog when he eats Chinese food, Jin switches to eating a sandwich. This change is small, but it marks his first attempt to assimilate into American culture and appear just like everyone else. Jin modifies his actions to avoid ridicule, suppressing a part of his heritage, demonstrating how social pressure and discrimination can influence behavior, leading to psychological change. Jin's second psychological change occurs when he forces Wei Chen to speak English with him, even though they both could speak Chinese. You're in America, speak English. This shift reflects Jin's desire to distance himself from his Chinese heritage and conform to his American peers. His insistence demonstrates internalized pressure to assimilate and fear of being perceived as different. Visually, the panel emphasizes Jin's dominance over the conversation, showing his anxiety projected onto Wei Chen with an agitated facial expression. The contrast between Jin's behavior here and his earlier ease in speaking Chinese highlights his growing internal conflict. Feelings of exclusion cause individuals to change their behavior to conform, building tension between their true identity and how they present themselves. Jin's first major physical transformation occurs on page 97, where he changes his hair to resemble Greg, the white classmate he thinks Amelia is infatuated with. Here, as Jin observes Greg laughing with Amelia, Yang alters the color scheme. The colors fade into muted grays, visually showing Jin's growing envy. The panel's framing focuses on Jin's face as he glares at Greg, his eyebrows angled sharply and mouth tightened. This resentment is not just towards Greg, but towards his own perceived inadequacy, feeling like just him alone is not good enough to attract Amelia. Furthermore, the dominating thought bubble juxtaposes the small distant image of Jin's house, a subtext showing how his desire to conform overshadows his roots. On page 194, Jin's complete metamorphosis into Danny visualizes the climax of his identity crisis. As he transforms, the panel explodes with distorted emanata, and the echoed onomatopoeias, click, click, clack, the sound of his transformer toy, are in the background. The Transformer was once a symbol of imagination, but it becomes one of self-destruction, reflecting the erasure of his identity. The matte black color palette in the background emphasizes his shame and confusion. This metamorphosis effectively captures Jin's internalized racism and cognitive dissonance, since he believes that by becoming Danny, he will finally belong. Surrendering one's identity to meet others' expectations leads to emptiness. Jin's journey towards accepting his true identity reaches a turning point on page 214, when he transforms back to his alter ego Danny, to his authentic self, with the Monkey King's guidance. On page 223, the Monkey King says, "You know, Jin, I would have saved myself from 500 years imprisonment beneath a mountain of rock had I only realized how good it is just to be a monkey." Just as the Monkey King learned to accept his nature, Jin realizes that rejecting who he is only causes psychological imprisonment. Visually, the transformation is significant as Jin's features shift back to his natural Asian appearance, a metamorphosis, but this time it is depicted with bright colors, emphasizing the relief and liberation that comes with self-acceptance. Additionally, returning his hair to his natural style signals Jin's comfort with his heritage and personal authenticity. Finally, on page 233, Jin is depicted happily sharing a moment with Wei Chen in a Chinese cafe, surrounded by cultural symbols such as Chinese texts and traditional decor. The relaxed colors, posture, and smiling expressions convey a sense of emotional equilibrium and pride in his identity. Together, all these moments demonstrate how Yang uses both textual guidance and visual storytelling to illustrate that embracing one's true self encourages confidence, emotional stability, and a sense of belonging.